All right, seventh graders, you have your 1.5 adding integer notes in front of you. Look at that front side. You'll see that you have 4 boxes, and we're going to be filling in some examples in those 4 boxes for adding integers. Adding integers when our numbers are both positive, adding when they're both negative, adding when you have opposite integers in your expression, and adding when you have different signs, one positive, one negative, one positive. So I want to remind you to not forget what you already know about integers, and you know how to add positive integers. I'm just going to refresh your mind on what you did way back in your elementary days. So looking at our first expression, write this down in the box for both positive. 7 plus 3. You're starting at 0 on the number line. This 7, the first term, tells you to go in the positive direction. Yes? Yes. So you're going to take 7 steps in the positive direction, and you're adding 3 more positive steps. This is a positive 3. So you're going to take 3 steps from 7 further into positive land. That brings you to 10. You know how to add integers. You're really good with adding when they're both positive. Write down 6 plus 9. What would the value of that be? You're going to be walking further into positive land once you get to 6. You'd be at 15. Nice. Write down the last example for both positive. 17 plus 9. You're going to be walking further into positive land. Your answer is 26. So use what you already know about adding integers. And what if this time we have integers where both of them are negative? Infer right now. Make an informed guess. Do you think that you'd be walking further into negative land if both integers are negative? Well, let's test it out. Write this one down as your first example in the both negative box. Negative 7 plus 3. So starting at 0 on my number line. I know you don't have a number line. Just watch up here with me. I'm going to take 7 steps in which direction? Positive or negative? Negative, because this minus right here tells me to walk in the negative direction. So from 0, I'm going to take 7 steps in the negative direction. I'm at negative 7. Now, am I going to take 3 more steps in the negative direction or 3 more steps in the positive direction? Look at what sign is associated with this 3. Negative. So I'm going to take 3 more steps in the negative direction from my negative 7, which brings me to negative 10. So we walked further into negative land when both integers were negative. Write down the next example, negative 4 plus negative 8. So starting at 0, am I going to walk 4 steps in the positive or 4 steps in the negative? Well, it's a negative 4, so 4 steps in the negative. That brings me to negative 4. Now, am I going to add 8 more steps in the negative direction or add 8 steps in the positive direction? It's going to be in the negative direction that I'm going to take 8 more steps because of this minus right here in front of the 8. So if I add 8 more negative steps, I am going to get to negative 12. Look at the last one. This one I don't have a number line to work through it with you, but I just want you to use what we just did in the last 2 examples. Both of these terms are negative, so are you going to be walking further into negative land or positive? Negative. So you are at 0, you go to negative 9. Now you're going to take 7 more steps from negative 9 in the negative direction. Where would you be? Negative 16. So when both our integers are negative, we're walking further into negative land. Let's look at the next box, opposites. Opposites we know are on the same distance away from 0, but on opposite sides of 0. Opposites are the same distance away from 0, but they're on opposite sides of 0. Adding opposites, find that box in your notes. Go ahead and write down the first example there, negative 7 plus 7. So from 0, we're going to find negative 7 on the number line. There it is. Now from there, we're going to add 7. Are we going to add 7 going to the left, which would be looking at the negatives, or are we going to add 7 and be facing the positives? We're going to add 7 steps in the positive direction, so to the right, which brings us back to 0. What do you notice about that answer? Yeah, it's 0. Negative 7 and 7 are opposites. When we add them together, the sum is 0. That rings true for all other examples with opposites. 4 plus negative 4, the sum is 0. Negative 11 plus 11, the sum is 0. So when we're adding opposites, they're neutral pairs. meaning the value is going to bring us back to 0. Let's look at the next part in your notes. Now we're focusing on different signs, and this is where it can get a little tricky, but we're going to use what we already know about integers, and we have a number line to help us out. So write down the first example, 4 plus a negative 3. We're going to have a total of about 6 examples for this box, so watch your spacing in your notes. So I need to find positive 4. This is positive 4. When there's no plus in front of it, positive is the default, meaning it automatically goes to that. So I'm going to find 4 on my number line. There it is. Now I'm going to add negative 3. Am I going to add 3 steps to the right or add 3 steps to the left? This minus tells me to turn and add 3 steps to the left. So it's kind of like I'm backing up, right? 3 steps. I'm going to back up 3 steps from 4. That brings me back to 1. Let's do the next one. Write this one down. Negative 5 plus 7. So on my number line, I'm going to go ahead and find negative 5. Now from there, am I going to take 7 steps to the left, more into negative land, or am I going to take 7 steps to the right, which is going to have me looking into positive land? Well, this is a positive 7, right? Plus 7. Positive is the default. So I'm going to turn and I'm going to take 7 steps to the right. So from negative 5, if you take 7 steps to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Brings me to 2. Let's look at the last example for this. 8 plus a negative 4. I'm going to start by finding 8 on my number line. Is it a positive 8? Yeah. When there's nothing in front of the term, positive is the default. So I'm going to find 8. There it is. Now I'm adding negative 4. Am I going to take 4 steps to the right or 4 steps to the left? This minus tells me to turn and take 4 steps while I'm looking down the negative side. So I'm like backing up 4 steps from 8. Where does that bring me? Well, that brings me back to 4. Now I want you to think about this for a second, 7th graders. Why are the answers all positive? Each of these sums is positive. Look at these equations and see if you can figure out why are all these answers positive here. If you ask yourself, the absolute value of 4 is 4, the absolute value of negative 3 is 3, right? The positive term here had a larger absolute value. Notice how my answer is positive. Here, negative 5, the absolute value of that is 5. The absolute value of 7 is 7, right? Here, my positive term has the larger absolute value. Notice how my answer is positive. And that rings true down here as well. I'm not going to be taking as many steps to the left as I did to the right. So these answers are remaining positive when your positive term in your equation has a larger absolute value. Let's look at 3 more examples. We're in the same box titled different signs. Go ahead and write this one down. Negative 6 plus 2. So I need to find negative 6 on my number line. There it is. I'm adding 2. Am I going to take 2 steps to the left, looking at those negative values? Or am I going to take 2 steps to the right, looking down the number line at those positive values? 2 steps to the right. Where does that bring me? Negative 4. Write down the next one. 5 plus a negative 10. Again, just noticing that I have a parenthesis around the negative when it's my second term to isolate that, to make it very clear that it's a negative 10. So this time, I'm not going to have animation coming in on my number lines. Let's see if you can do it without me giving you that answer there. I need to find positive 5 on the number line. Do that. Maybe you have to put your finger up to positive 5 on the screen. Now you're adding negative 10. Are you going to take 10 steps to the right, meaning you're looking more at the positive numbers? Or are you going to back it up 10 steps, meaning you're going to be looking at the negative numbers? You're going to be backing it up 10 steps. You got it. If you back up 10 steps from 5, where would you be? Negative 5. Write down the last example, negative 9 plus 1. You need to find negative 9 on the number line. Now, are you going to take 1 step in the positive direction to add 1? Or are you going to take 1 step in the negative direction to add 1? You're going to take 1 step in the positive. So where would you be at? Negative 8. Why are all the answers all negative here? right? On the previous slide, they were all positive. Well, if you think about it now, the absolute value of -6 is 6. The absolute value of 2 is 2. The negative term had the larger absolute value. And look at my sum. Right here, the absolute value of 5 is 5. Here, the absolute value of -10 is 10. So the negative term had the larger absolute value. Look at my sum. 2 more examples with adding integers. Here we go. We have a long expression here. We got to simplify it. It's all adding in here, so we're just going to work it from left to right here. We need to find -8 on the number line. There it is. We're adding -3 to that. That's going to take us further into negative land. 3 steps. Brings me to -11. I'm adding 9 to -11. That's 9 is positive, so I need to take 9 steps in the right direction. That brings me to -2. This right here simplifies to be -2. I'm adding -2 to -2. So I'm going to back it up 2 steps. Brings me to -4. This all simplifies to be -4. Now I'm going to add 3 to -4. I'm going to take 3 steps in the positive direction to end at -1. We're going to use that same idea and build with a story problem, a real world problem right here. This time I'm not going to have a number line to illustrate it, but we'll still talk it through. On first down, your football team lost 3 yards. On its second down, it gained 12 yards. On its third down, it lost 1 yard. And on its fourth down, it gained 4 yards. Did your team gain at least, meaning no less than 10 yards, and earn another first down? Now, we need to first figure out what are we being asked to find? If the team gained at least 10 yards to earn another first down. So my team gained at least 10 yards and earned another first down. So we'll fill in here either yes or no. Let's go line by line. Look for key operation words. Lost, that's a -3. On its second down, it gained, that's a +12. On its third down, it lost, that's a -1. And on its fourth down, it gained, that's a +4. So now we need to write, just like the directions stated before, an addition problem for this. Well, this loss goes with the 3 yards, so let's underline our important numbers first. This gain goes with the 12 yards. The loss here goes with the 1 yard. And the gain here goes with the 4. Did I miss any? We're ready to write that expression. So this first part, on the first down, your football team lost 3 yards. That's a -3. Plus, because I'm creating an addition problem, +12, because it gained. That's a +12. Plus, it lost 1 yard. What would that be? A -1. I lost a yard. And on its fourth down, it gained 4 yards. So plus a +4. What does that give me? Well, -3 plus 12. You're at -3. You're going to be adding 12, taking 12 steps to the right. Where would you be? 9, right? Now, you're going to add a -1 to that. So you're going to back it up 1 step from 9. You're at 8. And now you're adding 4 to that. That would bring you to 12. So did your team gain at least 10 yards and earn another first down? Yes, they did. They gained 12 yards. So the answer would be yes. My team gained at least 10 yards and earned another first down. Great work today with adding integers.